Hi, I'm George. I recently took part in a 24-hour digital detox, which meant I couldn't use any forms of media for 24 hours. Now, at first I thought it was going to be very difficult, and looking back on it now, it was very difficult. Obviously, I did the obvious things like put my phone and my iPad and my laptop somewhere else because I knew I'd be tempted if I tried to keep them around me. I go home at weekends, so it was a lot harder, I think, to keep to myself. Because if I was at university, I know I'd be able to stay in my room and tidy, or maybe go on a walk. But I think by being at home, there's more interaction with people, and I play cricket on a Saturday and a Sunday. I think that was probably why I did it when I was at home, because it meant that I was going long periods of the day without actually having to use any forms of digital media. But I did find it difficult to keep away from other forms of media. It wasn't just digital media that was the problem. Obviously, not having my phone and my laptop and my iPad, it was difficult. It's hard to not know what's actually going on in the day. You have to ask people, and at the same time, I don't know whether that's me using media if I'm asking someone, because there was football matches, so is me saying to someone what was the score me using media? It's difficult, but that wasn't as much of a problem as branding. So stuff like Lancashire Tea, that's got branding on. Is that media? It's a difficult one to answer, really, because it is advertising to me when I look at it. So, it might not be a digital form of media, but it is a form of media. So, I couldn't get away from that, really. Because wherever I go, whether it's in the bathroom, there's shampoo, or there's some deodorant, so it doesn't matter where you go, there's always going to be branding or a form of media. Another thing that interested me when I was taking part in this was the idea of Marshall McLuhan's extensions of the body. So, for example, a phone is the extension of our voices or our ears when we're talking to someone across the world. So that made me think, well, if that's the case, surely something like a car is media, because it's an extension of our legs. We're going from one place to another, and the car is making it easier to do that in the same way that a phone makes it easier to talk to someone across the world. So it just made me think, how do we know what exactly media is? And, it was very difficult to consider that. I just thought, well, I needed to get to the cricket ground, so I thought, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to have to break the rules a bit here. But, it's a good question. Is that media? I just don't know. The next day I had to make a journal about what medias I came into contact with on that day in the 24-hour period, and that was almost as hard as avoiding the media, because, as I said, it's difficult to pick up what media is. So, therefore, how do I know what to write about when I'm writing what I've seen? It's very difficult. For example, this is a Preston North End hoodie. Is this media? So do I write what I am wearing when I put my clothes on? Is that media? And for every Facebook message, every text, every call, I had to write down, and it was harder, to be honest, than doing the detox, because we consume so much that it was easier to avoid it than have to actually write about it. I think, in conclusion, what I took from this is that it's a good thing to reduce the amount of media that we use. And having seen the amount of media that I use by doing the log, I think it has concerned me a little bit that I use Facebook and Twitter, and I use my mobile too much. But at the same time, I think a lot of the media that was on that log wasn't necessarily my fault. It wasn't me going to the media. and using it. It was more the media coming to me, like adverts and posters, and I think that that's not necessarily something you can avoid. But I think, yeah, even though it was difficult to just completely get rid of it all, I think reducing the amount we use is probably good. It's probably a very important thing, actually. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.